about finding a unique puzzle piece that perfectly aligns with the bigger picture. The Specialty Job Board connecting inclusive employers with neurodiverse and disabled talent nationwide is a testament to the beauty of diverse abilities. In this platform, every skill, every perspective, and every individual is not just valued but celebrated, creating a workplace symphony where difference harmonizes into success. And so with that, I'd like to introduce Savannah and Nicole. Thank you for being here. Thank you.
We're not expecting to stay on the podium, so we're a little nervous, but that kind of comes with neurodiversity, I suppose.
There'll be lots of time for questions.
So I'm Savannah Patton. I started with Workability earlier this year, and this is Nicole.
Hi.
Sheila, our founder, started the company in 2021. Is that better? And she started Workability because she has two neurodivergent sons, and they're teenagers, and they were just about to go into trying to find a summer job, and she wanted to, she's really good about solving problems where there's a missing piece, a puzzle piece, and she wanted to make sure that there was like an inclusive aspect to be able to connect people that are neurodivergent to employers that are wanting to be open to people that are on the spectrum and neurodivergent.
And see the value in their neurodiversity as well. We're really trying to shine a spotlight, I think, on the values of neurodiversity. And just to give you a little bit of background in case some of you don't know what neurodiversity encompasses, it's an umbrella term that can include ADHD, autism, OCD, PTSD, dyslexia. So it encompasses a lot of job seekers, and we just know that there's a lot of value and advantages in hiring such a diverse employees.
Yeah, they're really, I think, an overlooked pool of candidates for employers, and I think there's a lot of hesitation, a lot of misinformation out there, and so that's another branch of Workability is we want to be able to educate employers about what that looks like. You know, I think a lot of people think there's a lot of attachment of accommodations that need to happen, and we're here to help foster the education aspect of that. There really is minimal accommodations that need to happen. Like, for example, I am neurodivergent, I have ADHD, and I'm here standing today speaking to all of you, and employed and professional. I don't know if you want to share.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was diagnosed with autism a year and a half ago, and my son was just recently diagnosed with autism. I also have ADHD. That kind of started me on my journey with Workability. Where we primarily operate as a job board, connecting neurodiverse job seekers with inclusive employers. But we also have other cool projects that we're doing as well. Last summer and this summer we're doing a summer work experience where we train students between 17 and 21 that have intellectual developmental disabilities or neurodiverse. And we train them up in a pharmacy tech program that we had provided online. And then I placed 4 of these students into their community, into pharmacies, where they got to get experience in the field. And even one of them actually ended up having a full-time job after the summer for work experience. So we have a couple other programs that we're working on like that.
Yeah, so we just got the contract for this upcoming summer. So we can serve all of Oregon, but we like to focus locally here, Deschutes County, Jefferson County. The contract really wants us to focus on rural communities. We're trying to solve the job shortage of people leaving the pharmacy field because of COVID and what that looked like. So this summer work experience is for kids 15 all the way up to 21. They do have to have a developmental disability documented of some kind, and then we help them get connected to an online training to become a pharmacy clerk, then put them in a job experience, and we pay them for that. And like Nicole said, we had one female that came through and she got offered a job at the end. So it's been really awesome. This first one we did, there's a lot of kinks to work out, but we're excited about this next summer. So if there's any contacts you can give us for pharmacies or if anybody works within that industry, that would be helpful. So that's a big part that we're working on?
Yeah, we're working on more quick startup career programs for students with these disabilities. We're working on an animation program, so hopefully that will be started up before summer. We're also working on a ticket to work program, so we'll be VR providers, helping people who rely on government assistance, helping them incrementally get off and become more independent and work on their own. So anything to support the neurodiverse community is what we're here to do.
Yeah. This is a minority and women-owned organization, and it's a social enterprise. So our whole mission is to be able to serve and bring about change, which I think is very parallel to what you guys are trying to do in these smaller communities. So yeah, we've got the Ticket to Work program, the grant for next year for the pharmacy clerk, and then primarily we operate as a job board. So that is for employers who want to post jobs on to the website. It functions kind of the same as Indeed or any other job search site you've looked at. But we are really trying to tap into that niche of people that are neurodiverse. So we've got job seekers filling out job profiles and uploading resumes so that employers can also seek out candidates through there. I know diversity, equity, and inclusion is kind of a big topic that's coming up for human resources, and so we really want to help with that initiative. That's why we're trying to get the word out about workability so that people are aware of it, aware about neurodiversity, and utilizing our website in some capacity, either by having job seekers use it or have employers post their jobs. And there's a varying rate of cost for that. Local employers get a discounted rate for it. We have about, I think, 3,000 visitors a month right now, but that's growing as we get out and talk more about workability. So, yeah.
Good summary, right?
Yeah. Probably a lot of words and talking. So does anyone have any questions?
It's probably my issue, but I've never understood the connection between somebody that has, if you will, more simple ADHD kind of issues and somebody who is autistic, or to me it seems like pretty divergent kind of situations, and I know there must be a medical or scientific, write-up or something that would explain that, but
Yeah.
can you simply explain that and some of the other, I consider more serious kinds of issues that people face?
Yeah, well, from my own experience and learning more about this, it's my own diagnosis. So I've been diagnosed with ADHD pretty much my whole life, and then was recently diagnosed in the last year and a half with autism. And I am finding that the line between the two is getting hard to find. But with autism, there tends to be more social deficits, I guess, or social difficulty with eye contact. But you'll find that people with ADHD and people with autism often mask. There's a high comorbidity rate, so 70% of people diagnosed with autism are diagnosed with ADHD as well. And then I believe the number is pretty high for people diagnosed with ADHD. About 40% or so are diagnosed with autism. And now that women are getting brought into the conversation, we're realizing that a lot more people are autistic than we realized, and that it's just high masking, so it's invisible disability a lot of the time.
Well, you certainly seem like a high functioning.
But just remember that Elon Musk is on the spectrum.
Yeah.
Well,
And that's the
So,
key
let's
word, is spectrum.
Yes.
I think the spectrum part of the conversation is you can have somebody who is autistic that can be nonverbal, has difficulty that they can't even come and be able to present in front of people. And so there's the way it presents for people can vary greatly, and that spectrum can be very different. But I think the ADHD difference in autism, they can kind of intertwine.
So if ADHD is on this end of the spectrum, if you will, what's on the far other side?
So I guess a way that the spectrum was described to me that helped me understand was, instead of thinking about it as a linear spectrum, think of it like a color spectrum. So round, so it's like, over here you have sensory issues, over here you have social issues, over here you have repetitive movement, repetitive actions.
Right.
And so that level that you're seeing, someone might have higher sensitive needs and lower social needs. So you're not able to quite see it. And also people are able to mask like their hand flapping and things like that.
Okay.
So those are the kind of invisible tools that you don't see. So that might really drain someone. Like I might need a nap after this, where someone else might not.
What about kids that are born with a developmental disability?
What's that?
Kids born with a developmental disability, does that fit in your?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, so the students that came through, a majority of them were autistic, right? Out of
Yeah.
the ones that were succeeding in the program.
And higher level needs of support. So some of them weren't able to actually get through because they needed a job coach, but we're equipped to do that this summer. So we're equipped to hire or to work with higher support needs needed individuals.
Yeah. So
Do you interface with the local ESD?
What's that?
Do you interface with the local ESD?
good question. We did work closely with them for this specific grant because we work with the youth transition professionals who usually are assigned to the groupings of children that are in the school system that do have a developmental plan or an ISP. And so we really seek them out to be able to make referrals to us because then they know their students the best, especially in that age grouping of 15 to 21. Yeah. Did you have a question?
Yeah. So I may have missed this at the beginning, but Workability, how big is the organization?
So we're completely remote. We don't have like a brick and mortar. We've got Sheila, our founder, both Nicole and I. Nicole works on like the peer navigation side, helping. I'm the strategic partnership specialist, so I do marketing and outreach and partnerships. And then we've got one gal in Sacramento who's working specifically with Ticket to Work, the Social Security arm, and then Rachel, who is going to work with Ticket to Work. So there's 5 total.
Yeah, and then Hannah in the Philippines.
Oh, and we've got Hannah in the Philippines who does a lot of our marketing materials.
So we're just a small team now. They need to grow as we get more and more contracts and more and more programs under our belt.
So are there other entities like that in other states?
So our job board is nationwide. I know that there is another job board that is geared towards neurodiverse individuals, but that has an AI aspect, I believe, and it is more interactive as far as like matching people with their jobs, and so it's a completely different kind of job board than what we have, but it does it is for the neurodiverse as well.
Yeah. There's a
It's
lot of
very unique.
non-profits, I think, in the area and statewide that work with disabled individuals wanting to connect to employment. Our focus is really just that neurodiverse aspect. And we don't specifically like carry caseloads or things like that, or, you know, it's people being really referred to us. Yeah.
Thanks.
I was going to say, that kind of leads to my question about, is there overlap with Opportunity Foundation, or do you work with them at all?
Oh, that sounds really familiar.
So-
There definitely is overlap, especially Sheila wanted to have this, she didn't want it to be a nonprofit so that she could be able to partner as a social enterprise. And so that's one thing we're doing with Ticket to Work, which I'm not sure if everybody's like familiar with that. It's through the Social Security Administration. And so we're going to have another organization in Camas that runs that for us, and then we are interconnected and work together on it. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of ways to collaborate and partner with organizations.
Savannah, how do you find the businesses that you're trying to?
We attend a lot of conferences.
Yeah.
So we get the word out at a lot of HR conferences all over the state. Just trying to get the word out, trying to destigmatize what.
Yeah, like earlier this year,
neurodiversity
we went to the SHRM conference up in Tacoma and wanting to connect with the human resources professionals so that we can have conversations with them so they're aware of the job board aspect, because that's really the baseline of what Workability is about, is that job board, and wanting, of course, more employers interacting, more job seekers interacting, so we've got to get them on board with posting jobs there. And there's a lot of conversation we found of people saying, you know, we really want to tap into this market of people, but we don't know how to go about it. So we definitely see that that's like something right on the horizon right now.
So there's so many individuals, great employees, great team members that are out there living with, that may not have been diagnosed. Do they get are you diagnosed once it starts interfering with your social and physical being? How is one diagnosed with?
Yeah, so if you're an adult that's undiagnosed, I could speak just from my own personal experience. I had to talk to my provider about the issues I was having. I had my son, and I was having a lot of sensory issues, and I was having a lot of meltdowns, which is something that autistic people experience, as well as a lot of relationship problems, and it wasn't making a lot of sense to me. I didn't understand what was going on. So I took it to my provider, and then it was a long journey to finally come to the diagnosis. It took about a year to get, so it's a long process.
Is it more difficult to diagnose in adults versus children?
It is, yeah. You have to prove, there's just a lot of testing and stuff. My son, I just had him diagnosed last week, actually. He just got diagnosed. It's much shorter. It's much easier if they could get diagnosed younger.
Yeah, because you have to also, I think, as an adult, in my diagnosis of ADHD, I noticed very similar things, but it was after having children, and I think that's one thing that's coming up a lot for women in adulthood is you don't have the capacity to mask the behaviors that you're struggling with. Women internalize these behaviors while boys or men are more outwardly presenting, so ADHD is both inattentive and hyperactive. So I think a lot of boys in their younger years get diagnosed first because it's so outwardly presenting. They're hyper, they can't stop moving, they need to fill space with talking, they have a lot of stimming behaviors, and for girls, we're really conditioned to internalize that behavior. And so it's really not until later adulthood that if you don't have that support system to recognize those things, you start to see where you're struggling, and then you know, life just feels kind of impossible to try to function, and you think there's something wrong with you, but really it's just the way your brain is functioning. So then you start to see these signs, you hear people sharing, and then that really allowed me to go, oh, there's not something wrong with me. I need to go in and talk to somebody. And then now I feel so much more support because I understand how to work with myself instead of feeling so limited by what I can't do. So that's helpful.
And
Yeah.
What's your experience with the diagnosis and pharmaceutical recommendations versus coping mechanisms being taught to you?
Good question.
Oh, you want to say for ADHD or autism?
For ADHD specifically.
Well, there is a lot out there prescription-wise that you can take for ADHD, and I'm not a doctor, so I can't speak to a lot of these things, you know, sharing from my own personal experience in navigating this. Once I got diagnosed, you can try to find coping mechanisms, and I felt really hesitant about getting on medication because there can be some side effects, but I chose to take the medication route, and I noticed a drastic change immediately after taking it. Sometimes people have to cycle through different types of medications, but it made me functioning much more manageable, and brought me, I think it gave me a better clarity of like, this is what a neurotypical, someone who doesn't have ADHD, I realized this is how they function 100% of the time. Like, that's amazing. I felt such a relief with it. So there's a lot, I mean, you can find some coping ways if that's really...
Systems are always good.
Yeah.
You know, there's specialized therapists that work with ADHD and other neurodiverse types.
But you really have to think of the biological aspect of your brain. You know, it's dopamine receptors. There's just a chemical imbalance just in the way depression works, and people seek out medication for depression. It's the way your brain is wired. And so I'm a huge proponent of taking medication because there's only so much you can do on the outside versus, you know, fixing what's going on the inside. Yeah.
I've seen some commercials on the TV that tout the benefits of ADHD. What's that all about?
Yeah.
Lots of benefits. Yeah. With ADHD, lots of creativity, specialized interest. So a lot of people with ADHD will find things that they're really interested in, and they'll learn everything about it. They don't really care to learn things that they're not interested in. So just having that is a huge part of it.
Very dedicated. You know, one of the things we've been trying to put on our site is information about how that benefits companies for hiring them. And one of the largest ones, I think Chase has done a big study. There's a lot of large organizations that have put together data of the benefits of it. And for neurodiverse individuals, there's such a low turnover rate. So they're very dedicated, very committed to their job, very great retention rate because of their dedication to their work and being invested and interested. Very creative problem solvers. They can juggle lots of things at the same time. That's a huge benefit, I think. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's a beautiful life.
Michael Phelps diagnosed as ADHD, just in case you didn't know.
Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Sarah, are you
Steven
familiar? Are you familiar with the book Unmasking Autism?
Yes.
Yeah, so if you're interested in learning more, I recommend Unmasking Autism by Devon Price. He's a PhD. It's his own personal story of being diagnosed as an adult. I think that's one of the issues that and women in particular, you highlighted on that. And then, but it's also backed up by some science and research, so it's not just his personal testimony, but it is that. And it was easy to read too, so it's not all academic, scientific.
Yeah, those can be very hard to read.
Yeah. So Unmasking Autism by Devon Price.
Yeah, it's a great recommendation.
Yeah, such an interesting, I just reading about the bigger program, I learned so much, even in the language. And so anyway, just super interesting. I'm so thankful that you both came to speak to us.
Thank you for letting us come.
Thank you for being vulnerable with sharing your own experiences. That's not always easy. So I think we can all really, as a group, appreciate that. And we have a little gift for you. These are handmade by a local artisan.
So,
Yeah. So we're going to make you take a picture.
Thank you. Get a great picture, you know. All right, eyes open.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
That's very thoughtful.
Thank you, guys. And we have one for you as well. Thank you. Yes. Okay, you guys.
Michelle?
Yes, John.
Real quick, I have a box over here of thank you notes. If anybody needs those, like, for example, if Hannah wanted to send thank you notes to Delone Corp for fine or anything on behalf of Kiwanis, feel free to come over and grab some.
I'd just like to say that I used some of those at the last meeting, and it was a very positive response. I've had thank you notes to the thank you notes, so it's really
That's wonderful.
Michelle, can we add real quick?
Oh, yes.
I have some postcards if you guys want to grab them. It just has some information about how to post any job postings or start exploring the job board and a discount code to be able to post. So I can leave those up here.
Thank you. Thank you. So be sure to grab one of those. Again, Vintner's dinner people stay. And just in honor of our speakers today, it is not our differences that divide us. It is our inability to recognize, accept, and celebrate those differences. Audrey Lord. All right, guys. Make it a great week.